17 Indian soldiers critically injured during the standoff between Indian and Chinese troops succumbed to injuries and exposure to sub-zero temperatures in high-altitude terrain. A total of 20 Indian soldiers martyred at Galwan Valley. Agency reports say 43 Chinese soldiers also killed in the action. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh takes stock of the situation after Galwan Valley incident. External Affairs Minister, Chief of Defence Staff and 3 service chiefs attend the high-level meeting. Raksha Mantri briefs Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the incident. United Nations expresses concern over violence and deaths at line of actual control. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to continue interaction with Chief Ministers of the states and union territories today as well. Following the first round on Tuesday, Prime Minister says the pandemic remained under control in India due to right decisions at the right time. Says the country gave superlative example of cooperative federalism. Death toll due to COVID-19 in India in 5 digits with 11,903 fatalities. Recovery rate improves to 52.47%. Over 1.86 lakh patients cured and discharged, with active cases in India crossing 1.55 lakh. Over 8.16 million global active cases of COVID-19 with over 4.41 lakh fatalities. United Nations General Assembly to hold elections today for 5 non-permanent members of the Security Council under the new voting arrangements due to COVID-19 restrictions, with India assured of a win being the sole contender for Asia-Pacific seat. US President Donald Trump signs executive order on police reforms following weeks of protests against racial injustice in the country. Trump's proposal steers the state funding to police that will get independent certification while banning chokeholds unless an officer's life is in danger. Hello, you're watching DD News and I'm Preeti presenting the bulletin. Our top story first. The Indian Army has said that 17 Indian troops who were critically injured in line of duty at the standoff location and exposed to sub-zero temperatures in the high-altitude terrain have succumbed to their injuries, taking the total that were martyred in action to 20 now. Indian and Chinese troops have disengaged at Galwan area, where they had earlier clashed on the night of 15 and 16 June. Indian Army has reiterated that it is firmly committed to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation. And according to the agency reports, 43 Chinese soldiers were also killed. The Ministry of External Affairs has also put forth a strong-worded statement. For nearly last 5 weeks, the standoff has lingered on between Indian and Chinese armies in Galwan Valley and other areas of eastern Ladakh. Talks have been held at various levels, going up to Corps Commander to resolve the issue. But what happened on Monday night has set back the de-escalation process. The Ministry of External Affairs has also clarified that it was the Chinese side that departed from the consensus to respect the line of actual control in Galwan Valley, leading to clashes on the intervening night of 15th and 16th June. The MEA has also said that India and China have been discussing through military and diplomatic channels on the de-escalation of the situation in the border area in eastern Ladakh. Senior commanders had a productive meeting on 6th of June and agreed on a process for such de-escalation. Subsequently, ground commanders had a series of meetings to implement the consensus reached at a higher level. While it was our expectation that this would unfold smoothly, the Chinese side departed from the consensus to respect the line of actual control in Galwan Valley. On the late evening and night of 15th June, a violent face-off happened as a result of an attempt by the Chinese side to unilaterally change the status quo there. Both sides suffered casualties that could have been avoided had the agreement at the higher level been scrupulously followed by the Chinese side. Given its responsible approach to border management, India is very clear that all its activities are always within the Indian side of the LAC. We expect the same from the Chinese side. We remain firmly convinced of the need for the maintenance of peace and tranquility at the border areas and the resolution of differences through dialogue. At the same time, we are also strongly committed to ensuring India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. This was the statement by the MEA. Also, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh held a high-level meeting yesterday and took stock of the situation after Galwan Valley incident. The meeting chaired by Raksha Mantri was also attended by Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, and the three armed forces chiefs. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar was also part of the deliberations. The prevailing situation was assessed during the meeting. The Defence Minister briefed Prime Minister about the situation after the meeting. Sources informed that in the middle of all this, Pathankot military station visit of the Army Chief has been put off. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed concern over reports of violence and deaths at the line of actual control between India and China, and both the sides have he has urged both the sides to exercise maximum restraint. Now, associate spokesperson for the UN Secretary General made the comments at the daily press briefing. She was responding to a question on the martyrdom of Indian Army personnel in a violent face-off in Ladakh's Galwan Valley amidst escalating tensions at the LAC. In her response, she said, and I quote her, "Yes, we are concerned about the reports of violence and deaths at the line of actual control between India and China, and we urge both sides to exercise maximum restraint. We take positive note of reports that the two countries have engaged to de-escalate the situation." The United States is closely monitoring the situation following a fierce clash between India and Chinese forces in eastern Ladakh and hopes that the differences will be resolved peacefully. Washington also offered condolences to the families of the 20 soldiers who were martyred. A State Department spokesperson said, and I quote him, "Both India and China have expressed their desires to de-escalate, and the US supports a peaceful resolution of the current situation." He added that during their phone call on 2nd of June, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi had discussed the situation along the Indo-China border. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will continue his interaction with Chief Ministers of States and Union Territories today as well. This is Prime Minister's 6th interaction with Chief Ministers in the COVID era. On the first day of the virtual meet, Prime Minister Modi said that the pandemic remained under control in the country due to the right decisions taken at the right time. He added that recovery rate has gone beyond 50%, and he said that the country gave superlative example of cooperative federalism. Prime Minister Modi reiterated the life and livelihood mantra. He also said that there is a need to increase testing and tracing along with picking up economic activity and health services. Prime Minister also laid stress on wearing masks and taking note of social distancing. He said that even a little carelessness will weaken the country's war against COVID. Prime Minister noted that with the efforts of the past few weeks, green shoots in the economy are visible. He said that there has been rise in power consumption, which was earlier falling. Also, fertilizer sale in May this year has seen a significant increase. Apart from this, there is a healthy increase in kharif sowing in comparison to last year. The production of two-wheelers is also increasing. The digital payments in retail are reaching pre-lockdown level. Increase in toll collection in May and has been reported, and inevitable bouncing back of exports has also been witnessed. And on the second day of the two-day virtual meet, that is today, Prime Minister will interact with another 15 states and union territories. These include Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Telangana and Odisha. Up next, we'll take a look at the COVID-19 situation across the country. As per the data given by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, a total of 1,86,934 patients so far have been cured of COVID-19, which means that the recovery rate is indicative of the fact that more than half of the positive cases have recovered from the disease. Currently, 1,55,227 active cases are under medical supervision. The testing capacity for detecting novel coronavirus in infected persons in the country is continuously being ramped up. The country now has the capacity to test 3 lakh samples per day. Total number of samples tested so far is 59,21,069, with 1,54,935 samples tested in the last 24 hours. A network of 907 labs has been created in the country as per today. Now, this includes 659 labs in the government sector and 248 private labs. Arogya Setu app has touched another height. It has crossed 13 crore downloads. Along with this, the app has also stepped into the list of world's most downloaded apps in a shorter period of time. The app, developed under public-private partnership, has emerged as a protective shield for people in the fight against COVID-19. Arogya Setu app, launched by the central government, uses artificial intelligence and Bluetooth to enable people access the risk of getting infected. Now, it has even extended its ambit to cover feature and landline phones under the umbrella. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has issued a detailed, illustrated guide to address the issue of stigma faced by people affected by COVID-19, including patients who have recovered from the illness, frontline healthcare providers, their families, etc. Importantly, ways to reduce the stigma have been illustrated, which include various do's and don'ts. The do's are: be appreciative and supportive of efforts made by frontline workers, verify information from a reliable source such as Ministry of Health and Family Welfare before sharing or forwarding it, and last but not the least, share positive stories of those who have recovered from COVID-19. Remember, do not spread misinformation. Do not label any individual, group or area for spread of COVID-19, and do not spread name, identity, locality of persons infected or under quarantine. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has addressed the states and union territories to engage with private healthcare providers to facilitate enhanced bed availability and critical care health facilities, as well as to ensure fair and transparent charges for services provided. In order to ensure that patients receive prompt and good quality care at reasonable rates, it has been suggested to the states to have consultations with the local private healthcare providers and arrive at reasonable rates while factoring in the cost elements for personal safety equipment for healthcare providers. It has been suggested that the rates, once fixed, must be widely publicized so that both the patients and service providers are fully aware and the capacities are used optimally. A number of fake news reports related to COVID-19 are surfacing these days. Referring to ICMR, one such news report claimed that the peak of COVID-19 in India is shifted to mid-November, when a paucity of ICU beds and ventilators may arise. PIB Fact Check finds that this news is misleading. The study to which the report is attributed is not carried out by ICMR and does not reflect the authentic information. Referring to the Department of Personnel and Training, another media report claimed that central government has postponed the increment of employees till next year. The fact-check team corrects that, and it has found that the order is related to the completion of APAR and extension of the time limit. It is not related to increment. This report is also misleading. The government has been extensively undertaking Mission Vande Bharat to bring home the Indian nationals stranded in various parts of the world due to the COVID pandemic. Indian High Commission in New Zealand has said that the second flight of Air India took off from Auckland Airport this morning, carrying 217 stranded Indians from New Zealand. On the occasion of Desertification and Drought Day, Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Prasar Bharati, has tweeted, and I quote him, "This year's Desertification and Drought Day focuses on links between consumption and land. The theme for the day is humanity's relentless production and consumption, with the slogan, Food, Feed, Fiber." Land is a fundamental natural resource both for survival and prosperity. It provides all the provisioning services of ecosystems that are home, food, raw materials, fresh water and medical resources through biodiversity to all the living organisms, including human beings. Land is both a source and a sink of greenhouse gases and plays a key role in the exchange of energy, water and aerosols between the land surface and atmosphere. Desertification and drought today, therefore, it is very essential to not only protect and prevent it from degradation, but also to increase its availability through reclamation. Protection and restoration of land is important to hold a healthy environment in which we can all survive. And now a global update on COVID-19. Nearly 81.73 lakh people have tested positive for novel coronavirus, while over 4.43 lakh have lost their lives. US continues to remain the worst affected country with respect to the number of confirmed cases and deaths, followed by Brazil and Russia. Over 21.37 lakh people have been tested positive across the US, while 1.16 lakh people have died till now. Brazil is fast emerging as the new epicenter of COVID-19 outbreak, having recorded over 9.23 lakh confirmed cases so far, while Russia has reported over 5.44 lakh confirmed cases. The United States, Canada and Mexico have agreed to extend their restrictions to keep their shared borders closed to non-essential travel until at least July 21st to curb the spread of the virus. Non-essential travel was first restricted across the borders in March as COVID-19 outbreak began to hit the US. The three countries have since extended the border restrictions, which were previously set to be lifted on June 23. The measure bans recreational travel and tourism, but allows for trade and the travel of essential workers. Americans who are returning to the US and Canadians returning to Canada are exempt from the closure, while immediate family members of Canadians are allowed entry into Canada, but must quarantine themselves for 14 days. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Tuesday said that the state was on track to continue its phased reopening and that the reopening will not be rolled back. The reopening across some U.S. states comes as new coronavirus infections hit record high in 6 U.S. states, marking a rising tide of cases for a second consecutive week. Florida, Arizona, Oklahoma, Oregon and Texas all reported record increase in new cases on Tuesday after recording all-time highs last week. The United States currently has over 2 lakh confirmed cases of the virus and has a death toll surging past 1 lakh. Amid fears of another wave of COVID-19 cases in Colombia, its capital, Bogota, has begun easing lockdown measures with new sets of restrictions. The South American country has so far registered more than 1,800 deaths from COVID-19 and the total tally of cases exceeding 53,210. As the world is inventing new ways to fight coronavirus, the UK government has approved dexamethasone to treat COVID-19 patients. Now, it is widely available and the world's first cure for the disease. UK Health Ministry said that dexamethasone has been immediately approved to treat all UK hospitalized COVID-19 patients requiring oxygen, including those on ventilators. Now, according to the ministry, the drug was proven to reduce the risk of death among COVID-19 patients receiving lung ventilation treatment by 35% and patients on oxygen by 20%. As of now, United Kingdom has registered around 2,99,600 cases of the infection, including more than 42,050 fatalities. In Russia, the people have returned to restaurant terraces for the first time in more than 2 months as the Russian capital rolled back more COVID-19 restrictions despite still recording over 1,000 new infections daily. Moscow began to lift its lockdown last week, allowing residents to leave homes and use public transport and vehicles without restrictions. Moscow has been the worst affected area in Russia, which has the third highest number of cases in the world with more than 500,000 infections. Moscow has recorded 2,08,680 cases and 3,386 deaths, while the nation as a whole has registered more than 5.44 lakh confirmed cases of COVID-19, with death toll surging past 7,000. The United Nations General Assembly will be holding elections today for 5 non-permanent members of UN Security Council for 2021-22 under the new voting arrangements due to COVID-19 restrictions. India's victory is assured as it is the sole candidate vying for the lone seat from Asia-Pacific grouping. It needs 2/3 of the UNGA members or 129 votes to be confirmed. Canada, Ireland and Norway are vying for 2 seats in the Western Europe and other countries category. Mexico is also unopposed in its bid for a Latin American and Caribbean seat, while there is a straight contest between Kenya and the late entrant Djibouti for the African seat. Each year, the General Assembly elects 5 non-permanent members for a 2-year term. United States President Donald Trump yesterday signed an executive order that he said would reform the police practices while maintaining law and order. The order stated that as part of this new credentialing process, chokeholds will be banned except if an officer's life is at risk. Additionally, less lethal weapons will be used to help prevent deadly interactions. Also, stress is on improved information sharing so that officers with poor records are not hired without their backgrounds being known. And back home, with Unlock 1 and the night curfew relaxed till 9 p.m., more people have started stepping out of their houses as compared to the earlier lockdowns. In such difficult times, Laibi Oina, a lady auto driver who ferried a COVID-19 patient over 120 kilometers at night by driving for straight 8 hours through intense fog and rough hilly terrain. The woman has 2 sons and she supports the family. Take a look. And with that, we take your leave. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Keep watching DD News. Namaskar.